Entrepreneurship is overrated, and here's the reason why. I was just thinking and reflecting as I was looking out the window. What a life it's been, right? I didn't come from much in my life. I now look out onto a palm view here in Dubai, and I feel super, super blessed. I don't say that in any other way, but to just be filled with gratitude when I look out and think, grew up in Croydon in Southeast London, didn't have much growing up. Had a phenomenal mother, but not too much. Life wasn't easy, and really all of the cards were stacked against me in order to go out there and be successful. And I just went on to Grok, which is an AI engine. It's the Elon Musk equivalent of ChatGPT. And I checked what my earnings today, how they stack rank to the entire world. And it said that right now I'm in the top 0.1% of earners in the world. And I was thinking to myself, I see all of this content online, all of these videos on YouTube, and everything is always focused around the concept of being an entrepreneur, and that being the only way to actually be able to amass something in your life, the only way to join that 0.1% or to start to get yourself to a position where you can really build some wealth in your life. And I thought to myself, well, I've never actually been a purebred entrepreneur. I've always either worked with someone or worked for someone or built business units within companies. But ultimately, I have been most of my life in what you'd say is a 9-to-5, in a working career through corporate, and I built my way up through that way. Yet I've been able to find myself to the top 0.1% in the world. So what that says is that there's not only one path or one route to be able to get to that. And my argument is to get to the top 0.1%, entrepreneurship is one, far harder, two, far riskier, and three, it's just simply not for everyone. If you go and search the statistics on how many businesses fail within their first year, if you go and look at the stats on how many businesses fail altogether, it's alarming. The mass majority, it's in the 90%, right, of how many businesses start, launch, and simply don't make it. And so the odds are massively, massively against you to be able to start a business, launch a business, scale it successfully, and get it to either an exit or some kind of output. Then you've got to think about, well, why do most people start a business? It's typically financial, right? A lot of the reason is people want to become wealthy. And so when you look at it, entrepreneurship is a very risky, highly volatile, very, very challenging way to try to get yourself to a position where you can become wealthy. Now, does that mean it's not the right thing to do? Not necessarily, right? It depends on your temperament, what you're doing it for. Are you trying to build some legacy? Are you trying to build a skill set? You've got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? But if your primary focus is wealth and your primary focus is to become rich and you want to put yourself in a position where you can look after yourself, look after your family, live the way that you want to live, make decisions and life choices on your own terms, my argument to you is that you can actually do this by being what I would call an intrapreneur. And being an intrapreneur ultimately means you get yourself to a position where you become a top leader within a successful company, right? So you're either the CEO's right-hand person or you work your way up to becoming one of the senior leaders at a very prolific company. Now, I see earnings for these types of roles can range anywhere from $300,000 up to $1 million or even beyond. I was watching a podcast by Grant Cardone's right-hand person, Jared Grant, and he revealed that he's earning over $2 million a year working for Grant, and that excludes a number of other perks that he gets from that. So he's been Grant's right-hand man for over a decade, and he's earning over $2 million. He's got over $10 million in real estate and investments, etc. And so he's rich, he's wealthy, but he was never the entrepreneur. He wasn't the person that had to carry all of the risk and carry all of the bag. And so my recommendation is that you find your way, first of all, into an industry or a space that is prolific and is driving the future, whether that's technology or AI, which has always been my space, and software. That's always going to be pioneering and innovating in the future. So you find your way into a space like that. You start in an early or an entry level role, depending on what stage you're at in your career. And you start to learn the skills and understand, how does this business work? How do I navigate the ins and outs? You start to build an internal reputation within the company, get to know the movers and the shakers. And the closer and closer you can get to other senior leaders, the more you're going to learn and the more what I call IP in essence, the more personal IP you're going to build within the company, your personal brand, I should say, that's going to continue to build and grow within the business. And then year on year, you continue to stack up promotions to get yourself where you can get as much proximity as possible to the senior leaders. At that point, you're either in a position where you can keep working your way up within the company, or you would have built up your personal brand to such an extent, or your brand within the company to such an extent, that you're now going to be targeted by other competitors or other organizations within the same industry, and they're going to want to poach you. And typically they're going to want to poach you for more money, for more responsibility, and you can continue to work your way up that ladder. While you're doing that, your earnings are going up, your reputation is going up, and all of a sudden you become someone who is desired and sought after within the industry, right? You start to become a name within your industry. And this is exactly what happened to me within the software industry. I started to become a name because over the years I was a top performer as a salesperson. Then I became a senior salesperson. I built a name. Then I became a leader. And as I continued to do that, I became more and more in demand, and that continued to compound my income. It continued to compound my overall responsibilities, and that helped me to continue to climb the ladder. Now, simultaneous to doing this, I've been making investments, right? Mainly in stocks for me. At a particular point, I also owned a fair amount of real estate. And so what this then does is you're taking your active income and you're investing it into revenue streams that are going to multiply that income. And that's how you can really set yourself up for being wealthy, for being rich and successful, even though you're working in what would be deemed as a traditional 9-to-5 or a corporate career. So there's a way that you can take what you're doing and basically multiply it. So while you're doing the active work, your money is working on your behalf while you're actually just sitting there not doing anything. So when you start to break it down, going down this type of path, it's a much more de-risked way of being able to get to the outcome of wealth, because you're not having to carry the risks that are associated with setting up, starting, building and running a successful company where we know the success rates are low. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, how can you predict that you're going to be able to grow and climb within a company? Doesn't that also carry risk? Because then really your future is in the hands of someone else. And absolutely, there's an element of truth to that. But what you're not having to carry is the bag of HR and finance, the risk of getting sued, all of those other components. And also, because you're a part of an organization that has many other different people in it, different teams, different departments, it's de-risked because you're already part of a broader mission. You're already part of a wider organization, all rowing in a single direction. You get to collaborate, you get to grow by virtue of that. And it means that you have a much greater chance of being able to get to a very positive output because you're working alongside other people all rowing in the same direction. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely, especially at the beginning, because you're typically starting the business by yourself. Of course, you can raise funds, you can have a business partner, but again, all of these things add and carry risk. Whereas if you go down the corporate path, if you go down the path of building up a skill set, becoming the right-hand person to a leader, it de-risks the entire thing. And then again, you can use that active income to then supplement investments to set yourself up for success. Now, there are many different paths to be able to get to these types of outcomes. But as I look out my window, I had to sit there and think to myself, well, how did I get here? Because it's not by virtue of what I see so much online nowadays, where people make it out that there's only really one path to get to the outcome, entrepreneurship only. And that's just not true. I also know many other people that don't necessarily publish content that earn millions of dollars per year or multiple six figures, again, as leaders in companies. I also remember when I used to work at Twilio, it's a publicly traded company, so you can go and check this on their public records. The leaders at that company were worth tens of millions of dollars. And they didn't own the company. They were in roles such as the chief financial officer or the chief marketing officer, things like that. And these guys are earning millions and millions and millions of dollars working for a company. So don't be fooled. There's not only one way to be able to get to the outcome, to get to wealth and to get to riches. It's not only through entrepreneurship. There's multiple different ways. And I highly recommend that you consider building up a skill set, becoming the right-hand person to a founder or a CEO, building and scaling over time through that, getting stock and equity if you can, and then making your own investments to set yourself up for a sustainable future. I hope you found this video helpful. Please do check out the links that I would have left in the description box below. If you've got any questions or if you want to get in touch in any way, I hope you found it helpful. Until the next one, keep climbing.